The manipulation in AMC stock could not be more real and visible after the day we seen today. We dropped almost 8%, including after hours. We are down about 8.2% for the day. So in this video, we are going to be going over my speculative theory as to what is going on, why we did see this drop, as well as go over the technical analysis because we are at a key level on a technical basis, as well as go over the ortex data and the fact that the Tesla AI firm has sold some stocks and is actually buying AMC Entertainment. So without any further ado, hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel and sticking around a while. But first things first, let's talk about the fraud, corruption, and manipulation behind AMC stock and the two potential reasonings why AMC did fall today. Because as we do know, AMC, not AMC in specific, but the theater industry as a whole just recorded post-pandemic records for its opening weekend for Black Widow, as well as a sold-out show across the board in all 95 AMC theaters of the UFC fight with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Now, the two biggest things, obviously some apes might be getting scared out of their positions. That would be your first thought here. I don't think that's the case. There's about 100 million shares that have to be covered. That is not including the FTDs or the synthetic short position. So I 100,000% don't think that is why AMC did fall today. I don't think any apes are selling their shares, to be quite honest. Everybody knows what it is. They know the trade. They're very informed of what is going on. So I don't think that's the reasoning why we did fall. Let's be very clear about that. I do think, on the other hand, we are experiencing a short ladder attack. Specifically, hedge funds and institutions, they're getting together to create synthetic short positions. That has the same exposure of a regular short position, and it helps drive down the share price without the actual short interest data being reflected to companies like Ortex, S3 Partners, and so on and so forth. So I think that's the most likely situation here. They really took this opportunity to drive this home and really take on these synthetic short positions, especially because FINRA's new proposed rule, those would have to be visible. So if they wanted to do these practices, they would have to do them now rather than later. And I think that is going on, and I do think they're trying to push down the share price, get as many apes to sell their shares as possible so they can cover the legal shorted shares at a cheaper price. And the whole reasoning behind this is if we own at least 80% of the company, there is no reason the share price is falling over 8% for the day. It logically and mathematically does not make any sense whatsoever, especially because we do know we have failure to delivers that have to be bought back as well. That is going on every single day. We also see a whole new level of FUD being spread by the financial media about AMC, and I do think a lot of short sellers in AMC and even other stocks for that matter are paying the financial media to actually write these reports. That is called promoting. They are paid promoters. They are getting paid per click, but they are also getting paid to write these articles and ultimately help bring AMC share price down. Now, something else I do want to point out for you guys, which is pure speculation. This whole thesis is speculation, so take this with a grain of salt. It may be true, it might not be true. I do think a lot of you guys would agree with me, but something I want to point out as well, that Citadel gets about 70 to 80% of all retail orders, specifically a very high amount in AMC stock. Now, when they get these orders, when they pay Robinhood, Webull for these order flows, they are essentially taking this money, and I do think they are manipulating the bids even by 1/10 of a penny. So really, when you're buying AMC stock, it's not helping the share price go up very much, because on a massive amount of shares, millions and millions of shares, even manipulating the order flows, 1/10 of a penny would make a huge difference on the overall price action. Something else I do want to point out for you guys, and if you watch these videos, you already know this, but Disney actually did $60 million from Black Widow just on Disney Plus alone, and obviously the theater industry did $80 million from Black Widow alone over this weekend. Now, Disney had a 4.15% positive day. AMC had a negative 8% day. Come on now, you can't tell me there is no fraud, manipulation, or corruption going on behind the scenes of AMC. That is just a fact, and that is something I will stand on until this is over and way after this is over. This is a 100% fact in my own opinion, but take these videos with a grain of salt. I'm not a financial advisor or a financial planner or your dad, so don't listen to anything I say. Always fact check everything that is said in YouTube videos in general. Now, let's take a look at the technicals. You guys get the idea of the fraud, manipulation, and corruption that is going on. And And the last thing that I want to say about that, the best thing you guys can do is just hold your shares, because ultimately this can only go on for so long until either regulation cracks down on them, or we do see this double sword or double blade, double sword event that happens where AMC is likely to go up as the stock market goes down. So shorts are going to be losing on their long positions in other stocks. They're also going to be losing on AMC going up if they are short in AMC. So that is, in a nutshell, what I think will ultimately cause the AMC short squeeze. But that is something to keep in mind. All you can do is hold your shares. It's not really anything any one of us could do, but as a collective group, we own 80, 85, even 90% possibly of the shares, even over 100, considering all the illegal activity that has been going on. So that is just the best thing you guys can do. But taking a look at the technicals, guys, I'm going to switch to the 4-hour candlestick chart. We are right at this 200-day moving average. So we're going to want to see a bounce over this. And that is actually at $42.62. We are currently at $42.15. So we are actually slightly under this, but I do expect to find some support right here and bounce back up above this. Usually the 200-day moving average on the 4-hour candlestick chart, or even on the daily chart, tends to be a solid support level once you do get these dips. That is what we've seen last time when we dropped to about $38. The 200-day moving average was at about 40. We bounced right back up over that. So if we can get a nice bounce here, that'll definitely be a great sign, as well as if we can get over 51.31. That's really where you're going to see a lot of buying going back into the stock. That will ultimately push us over 55 and really consolidate in between 55 and 60. Once we get over 60, like I've said in these videos many times, that's really where you're going to see a lot of day traders, FOMO buyers, and even potentially shorts covering their short positions. But as far as the MACD is concerned, we are actually bearish yet again. This could flip at any moment, guys. So just keep that in mind. This is really only telling you the sentiment of the stock, the inflows and outflows as far as the price action is concerned. But we still are bearish in this. We actually went bearish in this at the beginning of open today, which makes sense, down over 8% on the day. Something else I want to keep in mind too, this $40 level is going to be a major support level. So if we do break this 200-day moving average at $42.62, I think the lowest we're going to go is to $40, unless we do get some bad news from the company. And on the near term horizon, all I can see is great news. Once we do get these UFC fights, and the fact they were all out, or all sold out at their theaters, that should give us enough momentum as far as a catalyst to push us up higher. But with all the fraud, manipulation, and corruption going on behind the scenes of AMC stock, it is really hard to tell. All we do know is there is a lot of shares that have to be covered. We do know there is some failure to delivers that have to be covered. AMC obviously is not on the threshold security list, but that is something I want to point out as well. That is not important when it comes to the AMC short squeeze. That is on the bottom of the list when it does come down to FOMO buying, hedge funds, institutions buying, shorts actually covering, synthetic short positions that will have to be covered, and the FOMO buying and day trading that will be going on with the stock when we do start to short squeeze. Nevertheless, I don't expect too much downside from here on out. Like I said, bounce to over $50 is what I'm expecting this week, but I'm not a financial advisor, so take that with a grain of salt. Anything can happen, and never make trades based off of what somebody else says. Now, as far as the RSI, we are on the lower end range at $31.68. So we are severely oversold as of right now. I do expect this to bounce back up. If we go into really oversold territory like we did, that was on June 8th when we seen this really bad down 12% day at the lowest point, you went severely oversold on RSD, and then you did see a huge bounce back up. So if we do go oversold on the RSI like we did on June 8th, then I do expect that huge bounce to the upside. Now let's take a look at the volume for the day, because that is a huge indicator we have to stay mindful of. Only 61 million for volume. So we're going to have to see the volume start to pick up before we even do get close to the short squeeze. That is a huge indicator and something that I want to keep in your guys' minds. But we're really hovering at about the 60 million for volume on days that we are falling. And the fact that we're seeing such low volume and we're not cratering is also a very great thing in general for the AMC short squeeze. Now let's get into the ortex data, guys. Short interest change of negative 1.01%. Short interest percentage of free float at 18.74%. Current shares that are sold short, 95.85 million. Return shares, 2.82 million. Borrowed shares, 1.82 million. That is a borrow change, or they are indicating about 1 million shares were actually covered for the day, which is not going to be the case. Keep in mind, this is a T+2 settlement time, so it'll be really important to see the data for Wednesday, because odds are with a drop about 8%, if apes are not selling their shares, you're going to see the short interest actually start to jump up a lot, and that is really what I am expecting. Now, as far as the overall short squeeze, the main thing you guys need to be made aware about is the only thing that really matters when it comes down to it is the number of shares that will have to be bought back. The FOMO buying, the day trading, the algorithmic trading, the everything else that we talk about, the gamma squeeze, will all revolve around the shorts actually covering 95.85 million shares. And if you think about it, all the volume for the day was, like I said, only 61 million for volume. That would be if every single share was a short covering their short positions. I mean, every single share was a buy going into the stock. You would see the price go crazy, but it would still take another half a day to get all of these shorted shares actually covered. So that is the main thing you guys need to be concerned about. Everything else is pretty irrelevant and will come after the shorts do start to cover, in my opinion. The share utilization at 91.39%, so there's only about 8.6% of shares that are actually available to be lent out, which is not a great thing, not a bad thing. It's pretty neutral. Like I was saying about this in many videos, you want to see the share utilization actually going down as the short interest goes up. We won't know what actually happened for the day in full until we do get that data on Wednesday. So that would be very important that you guys do watch that video. Now, as far as the Stonko tracker data, let's take a look at it. We have calls in the money 60,812, out the money 223,596. So there is a potential here for a gamma squeeze. We're seeing a lot of contracts obviously at the $60 price, but really over 70. So it's going to be hard to tell if we can get up to those prices to see a lot of delta hedging that's going on, which, if you guys don't know, is just a fancy word for saying market makers having to buy the shares to sell them to you for the call contracts that we do own. So it's not quite clear if we could see a gamma squeeze. We're going to have to see a big price movement to get there. As far as every other expiration week, it's nothing too crazy until you get to August 20th, which I do expect this to be our next most likely scenario or expiration week to see an actual gamma squeeze. 105,720 contracts that are currently out the money, 41,356 that are currently in the money. So that is a large amount. If we don't see a gamma squeeze August 20th, then definitely September 17th is going to be our next most likely expiration week to actually see a gamma squeeze. So I don't expect anything in particular. If we do start to get that huge rally, then it is definitely possible and it's not off the table. But as far as the Fintel data, now to switch gears, as far as the actual hedge funds and institutions that are buying and selling, nobody is really buying, nobody is really selling from the S13 filings that we are being reported on, or 13F filings we are being reported on. For today, we actually seen Gradient Investments LLC holding their shares. They only have 100 shares though at $35. So you're going to really want to pay attention to the price of these shares and if they are selling or if they are buying. We have seen multiple reports from June 1st to June 12th, about 10 reports now. One, Modus Advisors LLC has actually bought 181 shares. Not clear what the average price was, but for the most part, hedge funds institutions are just holding on to their shares. Some of these guys are with us and are riding the backs of the apes. We only seen one firm actually close out 100% of their position. That was John W. Broker and Co. CPAs. So nothing too crazy there. Ortex data still looks beautiful. Like I said, that's the biggest thing you guys will have to be concerned about if the shorts actually do start to cover 95.85 million shares. Take the Ortex data with a grain of salt as well. They get their information from some sketchy sources too, so you just got to be aware of that. Take it how you want it. But we are seeing artificial intelligence is on the side of apes. Tesla's famed AI-based ETF sells Facebook, Walmart, and buys AMC, which is kind of incredible. They bought about 16,000 shares for about 2% of the total weighting, 2.34% of the weighting to be exact. So 2% of a weighting in an ETF is on the larger end, believe it or not. A lot of small positions in an ETF will be between 0.3% and about 1%. So 2.34% is a decent amount, and you're seeing, like we want to see, some hedge funds, ETFs actually start to buy the stock, like we seen the first time around before this last gamma squeeze on June 1st and June 2nd. We've seen tons of buys going into AMC stock, and I will actually show you that right here. But before actual June 2nd is really the big day. From June 1st all the way, I mean the last week, go back to, let's say, May 20th, you see tons of buys for millions and millions and millions of shares. About 50 to 70 million shares were actually purchased 1 week before the squeeze did start. So the fact that you are getting this news, I think, is a great thing, but you're going to want to see through the 13F filings if more hedge funds and institutions start to get behind the retail traders and the apes specifically. So that is going to conclude this video, guys. Hit that like button if you liked the video, as well as consider subscribing to the channel, as well as if you guys want to get up to $70 in your choice free stock, no deposit necessary, no need to even link a bank account. Check out the link for Public. It is free money. You get your free stock in about 3 minutes time, as well as if you guys are not signed up with Webull, deposit $100, get 4 free stocks, each of them potentially worth up to $2,400 a piece. Those brokerages are a great, awesome place to be if you have not already signed up for those. And if you guys want to join a great community and start winning on your options trades, check out the link for the buy and sell alerts. It literally pays for itself. Like I said, join a great community. You'll be notified in real time every single time a trade is bought or sold, whether it's a day trade, swing trade, long-term investment, crypto, stocks, options. It doesn't matter. We do it all on the buy and sell alerts. So check those links out if you guys want to. But that's going to do it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one.